Hi, you're listening to the Listen Up Grow podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today is Tuesday, July 22nd, 2026. I have 6 stories for you today. We've got a drag venue in Sydney fighting to survive after a Catholic group tried to shut it down. We've got a gay man in the Orange Convicted Felons Cabinet playing victim at an international counterterrorism summit. England just officially told trans kids they can't use the bathroom of their gender, and it kicks in September. There's a coordinated campaign building to overturn marriage equality, and the science they're using to do this is garbage. LGBTQ plus authors in the UK can't even visit schools anymore without being thrown out. And Charlie Kirk, or at least his statue of him, is coming to Times Square. So let's get into it all right now, starting with the Divine Playhouse. An LGBTQ plus arts venue in Sydney, Australia, is fighting to stay open after a powerful Catholic backlash nearly shut it down before its second performance. The venue, called Divine Playhouse, opened in a 150-year-old church in Sydney's city centre. It hasn't been an active house of worship since 1930s. It's been a school, a theater, and now an LGBTQ plus performance space backed by a $100,000 grant from the New South Wales Arts Council. The opening event was an adults-only drag brunch called Sunday Mess, an unholy brunch party. Drinks had names that playfully nodded to the Catholic tradition. Performers dressed as nuns. Catholic men's groups organized a protest. Around 70 demonstrators gathered outside during the grand opening to pray the rosary and demand that the government pull the venue's funding, calling the show sinful. The next day, the venue's landlord issued a formal notice of breach, ordering the organizers to stop engaging what they called offensive trade or risk being evicted. The group behind it, Heaps Gay Events, says they're not backing down, and the Society of Authors has weighed in, calling the Catholic response an attack on artistic expression and free speech. The venue hasn't officially closed, but it's now locked in a legal and PR battle to stay open after one performance. A drag brunch in a former church, and that's all it took. Next, we have Scott Bezic plays victim. Scott, the out gay man currently serving as Treasury Secretary in the Orange Convicted Felons Cabinet, stepped up this week at a State Department summit on political terrorism and immediately made it about himself. Before delivering his prepared remarks, Scott told the assembled diplomats from 65 countries that he needed to go off script for a moment. He reminded everyone in the room and all the media that he was a subject of an assassination attempt 2 hours after being sworn into his job by a, quote, added left-wing activist. Then he added, for anyone who thinks this is a fiction, that should be at the sentencing this August. The attempted attack was real. A Massachusetts man carrying a Molotov cocktails and a knife was arrested at the Capitol on the day of Scott's Senate confirmation vote and has since pleaded guilty to federal charges. He will be sentenced in August. But the way that Scott used it at an international counterterrorism summit alongside Stephen Miller, framed as evidence that the left poses a comparable threat to the right, drew immediate criticism. The out gay cabinet member, serving an administration that has stripped rights from the LGBTQ plus people across the board, invoking his victimhood at a summit designed to frame progressive organizations as terrorist networks, the community noticed. He should not be part of the LGBTQ plus community. We should kick him out. Next, England bans trans kids from their own bathrooms. England just officially told trans students that they are not allowed to use the bathrooms that match their gender identity, and there are no exceptions. The UK government has issued new official guidance called the Keeping Children Safe in Education Statutory Framework. It mandates that schools must ban students from using bathrooms or changing rooms of their gender identity from the age of 8. For changing rooms, the ban kicks in at age 11. Schools cannot allow social transitions without formal parental consent, and in most cases, schools are expected to disclose a student's trans identity to their parents, even if the student has chosen to come out to them. LGBTQ plus organizations across Europe have condemned the policy as dangerous. Groups including ILGA Europe and Trans Plus advocacy organizations say that the guidance will harm trans kids, undermine the trust in teachers, and create a legal framework for discrimination inside schools that are actually trying to support their students. Critics are calling it this generation's Section 28, the infamous 1988 law that banned schools in England from promoting LGBTQ plus identities. The guidance comes into force in England on September 1st, 2026, which is only 6 weeks away. Next, they're coming for marriage. So let's talk about what's really happening with Obergefell. Because there is an organized, well-funded campaign to take it down, and they are recycling some of the worst junk science the last decade has seen to do it. The campaign is called Greater Than. It launched in January of 2026 and includes a coalition of 47 anti-LGBTQ plus organizations. Their argument, same-sex marriage harms children. The evidence, a 2012 study by a psychologist named Mark Renanos, called the New Family Structure Study a piece of research so widely discredited that the American Sociological Association submitted formal briefs to the Supreme Court warning that the data was deeply flawed, that it had no representative sample, and that it contradicted the overwhelming scientific consensus that children of the same-sex parents do not experience worse outcomes. None of that has stopped the Greater Than Coalition from recycling it in 2026. Now, with a veneer of AI analysts from a publication that has also funded the same right-wing institute that funded the original study. The Moment is framing its anti-marriage campaign not in a religious terms, but in a child welfare terms, because polling showed that messaging is more effective. They are not hiding their goal. They want Obergefell gone, and they are spending real money to get there. This is not a fringe moment. It's organized. It's funded, and we should all be paying attention. It's like constant back and forth where they want to take it away from us. It's not hurting anybody. Stop. Let same-sex couples live their lives. Next, LGBTQ plus authors banned from UK schools. Children's book authors in the UK are reporting a surge in last-minute school visit cancellations because their books featured gay characters, same-sex families, or queer themes, and parents are complaining. Multiple authors spoke publicly this week about what's happening to them. Author Christina Rahim says 2 of her planned school visits were canceled after parents claimed her books, which featured donor-conceived children and same-sex families, contained sex education. Others have described being invited and then quietly disinvited at the last minute, being asked not to mention LGBTQ plus themes despite those things being central to their books, or being told that the students were being withdrawn from their sessions. The Society of Authors has started formally tracking these cancellations. Their deputy chief executive called what's happening censorship and said that the pattern is real and growing. These are children's books, books about family, friendship, and belonging, and kids are being pulled out of school visits or the authors are being turned away because someone's parents can't handle the story with 2 moms. So sad. And next, we're talking about Charlie Kirk statue in Times Square. So finally, a story that it could only be happening in the year of 2026. A bronze statue of the late conservative activist Charlie Kirk is being planned for Times Square. An Italian-American sculptor named Sergio Ferrani announced the project this week, saying he will unveil the life-size monument in New York City on September 10th, exactly 1 year to the exact time after Kirk was shot and killed at a speaking event in Utah. The artist says he chose Times Square because it's the center of the city. He invited the New York City Mayor, Zohran Mamdani, to the unveiling. The mayor has not responded. The internet, however, responded immediately without hesitation. Comments online were overwhelmingly skeptical of the statue's longevity. Predictions range from it being vandalized within minutes to becoming the most photographed object in New York City until the city quietly removed it. The sculpture says the statue will be bulletproof. We'll see. I don't know why this person would pick a liberal city like New York to put a statue of Charlie Kirk, but yeah, go for it. Thanks for listening to the Listen Up Girl podcast for Tuesday, July 22nd. We had 6 stories today, ranging from Sydney drag venues, fighting Catholic protests, the gay cabinet member playing victim in a terrorism summit, trans kids banned from bathrooms in England, a coordinated legal assault on marriage equality, LGBTQ plus authors being shut out of UK schools, and a bulletproof Charlie Kirk statue headed for Times Square. If this show is part of your morning or evening or any part of your day, help it grow. Subscribe, share this episode, and leave a rating or review wherever you listen. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at TheRealZachRE. and visit listenupgirl.com for more. Stay informed, stay loud, and I'll see you tomorrow with more LGBTQ listening.